Hi everyone, today we will be throwing pitchers. To begin with, you get a nice solid piece of clay between 2 to 3 pounds, maybe even 4 pounds, depending on your level of skill. Start to cone that clay upward to eliminate all the unevenness of the walls of your clay, making sure that you're using thumb to compress that clay back down so that you're not literally pulling the clay off of the wheel. Doing so, it makes it easier to center a larger piece of clay and not exhausting your wrists as you're working. As you push that clay back down, you can see that I am centering that mound as I work my way down. The piece is large enough that I have to separate my hands, and my pinky is working extra hard to get underneath that mass of clay, creating a nice mushroom shape. You can see that the bottom of that clay is still uneven and that I'm going to need to go in and clean up the bottom of that area. As you can see with my thumb, I've just scraped away a lot of that excess clay that was creating unevenness. And now I can start to really compress that clay inward and make sure that it's nice and centered before I move on to the next step. Making sure that my hands are nice and steady. Using my sponge, I'm creating an opening downward. And then in the same step, I'm pulling to create the flat 90-degree bottom of the inside of the pitcher vessel. I'm compressing my walls to make it a little taller. And now I'm going to begin to pull the walls upward on the side of my pitcher. As you can see, I'm applying more pressure with my outside hand than my inside hand, but we always want to maintain more pressure from the outside with a pitcher shape. It's difficult to bring that clay back in once you've pulled it out really far. Making sure you also have enough moisture as you pull your clay upward into position. Applying pressure evenly with both inside and outside hand as you work your way up the form. I'm compressing the inside bottom of the clay and proceeding to do another pull. Throwing like this when your hands can no longer touch is difficult for beginners because the insecurity of all of that clay at the very bottom of the pitcher. Very often as beginners, our pitchers are very heavy at the bottom and very thin where our hands can actually touch each other again, which would be the top half of the vessel. Do everything in your power to consciously create power pulls of clay up the form. As you can see here, eliminating any of that heavy weight at the bottom. Lighten up your pressure towards the top or your pitchers will become very thin on top and still maintain a thick bottom area. The clay reflects my own pressure. By applying the same amount of pressure inside and out, I stay in that cylindrical form. If all of a sudden my pitcher starts to widen at the top like an upside down triangle, I would know that I'm applying too much pressure with my inside hand. Please be careful of this as you're working. Each pull that I do, I'm taking more and more clay out of the bottom of my form. Using my wooden rib, I'm beginning to create compression at the base of the bottom of the form, taking away any excess clay that's unnecessary. as I continue to do my pulls up the side of the vessel. And you'll see me do this several times to eliminate that clay down at the base and also to get a much more desirable bottom of my form. This vessel is probably about 12 to 13 inches tall. Here I'm just really trying to create even walls throughout the entire form. A pitcher should be light because you will be filling it up with volumes of water, lemonade. You might use it for flowers, but you don't want it to be heavy. A pitcher that's heavy, empty, is a pitcher that never really is used. As you can see, my throwing marks are deep, but I eliminate them by using my wooden and my metal ribs to create smooth surfaces as I begin to continue to work up the vessel. I'm creating a peanut shape with bisecting lines throughout this pitcher form, decoratively in the horizontal, as you saw in the beginning clip of the completed pitcher. Using both my metal rib again as well as my wooden rib for different surfaces. I like to use that smooth rounded metal rib to help with giving curves. So with my inside hand, I'm starting to push out the belly of the vessel to create that nice volume-esque form. And then it kind of stops halfway through to give like a neck or a shoulder to create that, again, that peanut shape. So see how I'm leaning way over to really see the profile, the side profile of the form. And you can also see it when I lean back in my chair to look at the vessel, because sometimes while you're working at up close, you need that perspective. You need to be able to kind of pull away. Sometimes even getting up and walking away from the form helps as well. So using my ribs, I'm creating these nice, smooth textures along the piece. I'm also creating an additional horizontal bisecting lines down the side of the form that becomes decorative. I'm also going to create one of those lines down at the base that actually helps lift the form up off of the ground. Now I'm using my plastic chamois to clean up the rim of my pitcher. And now I'm going to come in, get my hands nice and wet, and start to create my spout. My left hand on the exterior in a V shape, my pointer finger of my right hand rubbing back and forth to create that spouted shape. I'm wiping off my hands, and you can see the spout was created. I'm going to undercut. That line helps me to initiate a place of departure so that I can trim this vessel later. Using my wire tool, I'm undercutting, eliminating that excess clay with my undercutting tool. And again showing you, so that's my exterior hand, my pointer finger to create my rib, my spouted pitcher form. And that's it.